Doc Talk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to Doc Talk today. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. We're going to have a great show. We got one of my favorites going to be on the show, Dr. A.J. Tarpoff, and he is the state beef cattle veterinarian for the state of Kansas. He's going to talk about what he's doing with calving schools, and we're going to go through things from how you find the cow that's calving, what you do when you intervene, what equipment you need, and much more.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage.
Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. We're here at Kansas State University, and I'm here with my friend and colleague, Dr. A.J. Tarpoff, who is our state beef veterinary extension specialist, and he has been in practice in the U.S. and in Canada, and is one of those people that I'm so thankful you're in our profession, but I'm just, what you're doing for our industry is remarkable. Just keep it up.
Oh, I will.
I know that. And so we're going to talk about calving. It's something that you've developed a calving school, and if you Google calving schools or Dr. Tarpoff, you know, he's really taken this to the next level and really helped producers here in the state of Kansas. But let's just kind of start with the basics.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we back up and we look at the entire calving process, okay, and really break it down so we have a better understanding of what we're seeing. Because cattle are a prey species, right? They don't want to show us all the signs that they don't have a flag that they don't raise their hand to say, hey, I'm going into labor. But there are some subtle changes that we know that these girls are getting a little bit closer to calving. And they can look very different from a mature cow or a young heifer. Okay, keep in mind our young heifers, this is the first time this has happened to them.
Yeah, they don't know what's going on.
Oh, they're lost in life. Okay, so we need to help them out a little bit through this process. So what does that process look like? How do we know that they're getting close to calving, right? And the differences are pretty subtle. Okay, a couple days out, maybe even a week out, they start to let milk down. Okay, they start to lactate and fill their udder. Okay, we call it bagging up.
Yep.
So that bagging up will happen, and that's kind of our far off. We know they're getting a little bit closer, but it's not immediate. Other subtle changes that we'll see from afar is they actually start to relax and start to open up the pelvis. Okay, if you ever look at a cow walking behind her, her back hips almost look like a W. Okay, but as those tendons, as those muscles start to relax in the pelvis, they almost start to look a little bit more blocky. They look a little bit more square, and that's a part of the pelvic brim starting to relax. So again, subtle. We see things on the rear end start to relax and dilate, get a little bit looser. And these are all normal things. But what we really notice are behavioral changes. Okay,
Yep.
and those behavioral changes, I think, are what's key and what really sends our flags off that something's getting ready to happen with these cattle. And those behavioral changes are, they might go off a feed. They might separate themselves from the herd. We all have the one cow that out in the pasture that disappears for 3 days and comes back with a calf, right?
Yeah.
You know, but that's a part of the herd mentality, the protection of the herd. They don't want to bring attention to the rest of the group. So they may isolate themselves. They may go in different locations of the pasture, different locations of the pen. They might get uncomfortable, especially our heifers, where they're not outwardly straining, but they look uncomfortable. They pace around, they lay down, they stand up. They just can't seem to get comfortable.
Yep.
That's very normal. And especially considering what's happening on the inside, that big bag that has been forming this calf for the last 285 days is starting to contract and contort. And it makes sense of why they're uncomfortable. Okay?
Well, it's an amazing process, and it's just absolutely, when you think about the intrinsic and innate processes of going away from the herd and protecting the herd and the predator-prey relationship and how that changes their behavior is just amazing.
And that behavior stays with them, whether they're in a dry lot where we can control them, whether they're in the big open pasture and there's a lot of canyons and things like that. They do the same thing. They had the same behavior time and time again, regardless of the environment, which is really neat to see.
Cool. Folks, Dr. A.J. Tarpoff, we're going to be back right after these messages. You're watching Doc Talk.
Kansas Farm Bureau has served farm families and rural Kansas for more than 100 years, and we're pleased to offer new healthcare coverage choices for Kansans in 2020 through Kansas Farm Bureau health plans. No matter what stage of life you're in, we'll have options that fit your lifestyle. Plus, our network of providers is one of the largest available throughout the state of Kansas and beyond. For more information, including the different plans available, or to get a quote, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. A.J. Tarpoff, and he is the State Beef Veterinary Extension Specialist here for the state of Kansas and beyond. And as we left, we're talking about the behavior, and so now we get to that point. Here are the ones that are going to calve. Let's talk about calving.
Let's talk about calving. When does it start?
Yep.
Okay, we see this cow. She's looking uncomfortable. What changes from that stage one of calving to active calving, right? And that happens with the passage of, we call the water bag. Okay, so there are fetal membranes that actually come through the birth canal and burst. It's the water breaking, right? Once that water bag breaks, that's when we know active calving is upon us. Okay, behavioral changes from that. This is when the cow itself, or the heifer, she actively starts to push. Okay? So we see her abdominal muscles, she strains. We can see this from afar. okay, always look for the tail head. Okay, her tail head will be cocked up, okay, and she will be actively straining. So that's one thing that we can see when we come into a group of cows. We're checking animals at night. Look for the tail head. Okay, when that tail head pops up, we kind of understand that that is active calving. Okay, now during my calving schools, this is where I really like to talk about time frames. Okay, and progression of calving. We should start seeing progression of calving as soon as stage 2 of active calving starts. Okay, progression. What does that mean? Well, this is where the time frame comes in. Rule of an hour. Okay, if an animal's been in active calving for an hour and not making progression, we need to check her out. Okay,
Gotcha.
Something could be wrong, and we need to make sure that we get in and get that assessed and taken care of. Our mature cows, they're pretty efficient at this. Once they go into active calving, there could be a live calf on the ground in 30 minutes. It's amazing. Now, our heifers do take a little bit longer. Okay, so it may take up to 2 hours for a young heifer to go through the entire process of active calving to be able to give birth to these calves. That's normal. Okay, so understanding, I call it the rule of an hour, with the exception it takes a little bit longer for heifers normally.
Right. So you watch them, and then those are kind of that's your clock, is an hour or a little bit longer before you go check them out?
Correct.
Okay. And then from that, what about cleaning?
Cleaning after they've calved.
Yeah.
Okay, so cleaning. So the placenta is the attachment basically from the calf to the cow.
Yep.
Okay. Many times that passes soon after birth, and as it should. Okay, and that has to do with the involution of the uterus. That's the uterus contracting and cleaning itself and repairing itself, from parturition. Okay. Now, how long does it take? It can take 8, 10, 12 hours, and that can be completely normal. Okay, up to 24 hours, up to a day after, if she still hasn't cleaned, I don't consider it pathologic or a problem until that 24-hour period.
Okay.
That's where we monitor them, work with your local veterinarian on coming up with a treatment beforehand so you understand how to deal with these. If they don't clean, we call it a retained placenta. Yep. And if they don't clean, we need to have a plan in place to be able to take care of that.
That's perfect. All right, folks, we got the expert here, and we're glad to have him here in Kansas. It's Dr. A.J. Tarpoff. We'll be back after these messages. Hey, welcome to Cattle First, sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim Vet Medica. There are 2 reasons why animals get sick: overwhelming dose of a pathogen or a suppressed immune system. Number 1 cause of a suppressed immune system is stress. We need to make sure that we decrease the stress of cattle. Low stress cattle handling, acclimating these cattle when they come to your facility, making sure that cattle can trust you. So building trust with cattle, just like you would with a dog or a horse on your property, is vitally important, because animals that don't trust you won't show you clinical signs. Once you gain those cattle's trust, all of a sudden one of them says, hey, I'm not feeling good, take me to the hospital and treat me. Otherwise, they think you're a predator and they mask their clinical signs and you don't catch them. This has been Cattle First by Boehringer Ingelheim Vet Medica.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it, and it worked. I'm not going to go out and take trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. AJ Tarpoff, who is our beef veterinary specialist here in the state of Kansas, beef cattle veterinarian extraordinaire, and we're very fortunate to have him and his talents here with the state of Kansas and our producers. Talk to me about, I know you're passionate about your equipment.
I am.
So I know, I've been holding him off to get to the equipment segment, but talk to us about your equipment and how you handle that.
Well, at the beginning of any calving season, okay, we always have to be prepared. Okay, we know what's coming upon us. We know when those animals got bred. We know when calving's going to get started. Now is the time. If your animals haven't already started calving, now is the time to get ready, get prepared, and get all your equipment together. Nothing is worse than being out in the field trying to assist an animal calving. You reach into your calving box and something's missing or something's dirty, anything like that. And that doesn't happen by chance. I mean, there was a breakdown in the process that happened. Right. So this is where I like to talk about cleanliness, okay, and care of our equipment. Prior to calving season, get in and check all your equipment. Whether you use calving chains, calving straps, possibly a calf puller if a calf puller's on site. Really inventory. Do you have lubricant? Do you have gloves? Do you have calving handles to be able to attach to the straps or the chains? Are they in disrepair? Have they started to slightly rust a little bit? Now is the time to throw those away. Okay, there is a life expectancy of some of this equipment, so we can throw those away. We have plenty of time to get those ordered in, go to pick up from your local veterinarian, go to the local feed store. You can find this equipment just about anywhere. Okay, so let's have all that in place. Now, during calving season, we have all this in one, I like to keep it in one spot, so I know where it is. I can grab one box. I actually use a cooler. Okay, think about calving during the winter months. It's cold. Okay, now a cooler can keep things warm during the cold months, just like they keep things cool during the hot summer months. That's where if I have lubricant or if I have some water, I can have it in some jugs and have it in a cooler. I also keep all my calving equipment in separate little bags, okay, or totes, either Rubbermaid containers or Ziploc bags. I will clean my chains, and I will actually scrub them down with betadine, okay, or Chlorhex, whatever you might have as a disinfectant. We can clean those. We can hang them up to dry. As soon as they're dry, I put them back into a little container or a bag, and they go right back in the cooler. So that way, it's kind of the rotation. I like to have multiple of each set of chains, each set of handles, whatever I might be using several times a day, where I'm not going to run out of equipment. Then at the end of the day, I wash everything. Next morning it's dry. I throw it all back in the kit, and I'm ready to go.
And it's kind of like the Emergency 51. I remember watching that, and I always used to watch those guys grab their one black case that had everything in it, and when they went on that emergency call.
And that's time is of the essence whenever we're dealing with animals that we need to help. Okay, so having that equipment handy and we're not scrambling around at the last minute trying to find one piece of critical equipment, it's all in one place and it's ready to roll.
So important. Great information. Make your checklist, the equipment you want, follow what Dr. Tarpoff's talking about. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages.
SureCrop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. We're here with Dr. A.J. Tarpoff. He is the beef veterinarian for the state of Kansas, and we got him to take a break from his calving school schedule to come in and give us a mini calving school. Just go look at it on the web. He's doing an incredible amount of work for our state. So talk a little bit to me about restraint, equipment for restraint and safety.
Well, safety all the way around. You know, when we have to intervene during a calving, it's for the well-being of the cow and the calf. But we can't forget about us, okay? We aren't dealing with small dogs, okay? These are large animals. Safety is paramount. We can get injured when we're trying to provide trying to help these animals. We can be injured in the process. So proper restraint is critical. And that may look very differently depending on where we have to intervene. Not always do we have to help a calving that's in a nice heated calving barn with a head catch and a side squeeze and where everything is nice and orderly. Sometimes we may have to intervene out in the field where we have to properly restrain these animals, possibly to the back end of a pickup or a bale bed, something along those lines. A tree, whatever's handy. So for proper restraint, I do like to have, again in my calving box, a couple of halters, okay, and possibly a lariat. So if we do have to handle that animal in the open, we can still get her properly restrained. Now, what I mean by properly restrained and possibly in the open is I want to restrain her where she's not going to go forward or back. Okay, I want her nice and snug, possibly up to that post or the tree with a halter, so she's not going to have anything intervening with her airway. But I will restrain her so she has enough space to stand up or lay down where she can comfortably do that, but she's not going to go forward or back because we have to work on the back side of that animal.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to protect us from getting kicked, possibly getting laid on, anything like that. Restraint is critical.
Yep. Yeah, and in a shoot with that calf jack, they can beat you like a ninja with a set of nunchucks. You've got to be really careful that jack being on there tight and tight spaces. And tight spaces or in the open. Those of you that have used a calf jack that's the long pole can turn into a pretty nasty weapon if she decides to lay down or move around. It doesn't take much to have the back end of that calf puller to cause quite a bit of force and damage. And I like to let them out of the chute so that they don't have the pressure of the uterus getting spit out after they calve. Mm-hmm. No, and that's something real. Yeah. So now let's not forget about the calf. I know we don't have much time, but what do we need to do with that calf? Okay, once that calf
comes out and we've intervened. This isn't, out in the pasture, Mother Nature takes care of things, right? The mothering up process. Well, if we've intervened, it's been a hard calving, we pulled that calf, we have to intervene to make sure that calf gets off to a good start. And it's critical that we get them to start breathing. That is number one. That little agonal of the calf should be music to our ears. But how do we help with that? I do like to keep some towels in my calving equipment. What does the mama cow do out in the pasture? She immediately turns around, she nudges it, she moves it around, she licks it clean. Well, that's what we need to do whenever we pull that calf. We rub it down. That physical touching and the moving and the manipulating of the calf is really what initiates the breathing process. So it's the neural stimulation, so it's the physical touching and moving is what really stimulates the brain to start breathing. So that's what we do. Another little tip is we can stick a piece of straw up the nose. Because if any of you have ever had anything up your nose and immediately you start shaking your head and you sneeze, that will help stimulate that calf to start breathing.
Awesome information. Thanks, Dr. Tarpoff, and thank you for watching. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian, and if you want to know what we do here at Doc Talk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. A.J. Tarpoff, and we'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by VetGun with Amel and new AMA Abamectin Vet Caps, the 1-2 punch against hornfly resistance from AgriLabs.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com.
Doc Talk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. After stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before. Because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. They all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? Where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.